All right, so you'll have set yourself up in a position that allows for opening through the body. So if that doesn't feel comfortable for some reason, feel free to adjust. So this first little bit of time, we're going to really focus in on a couple of different things, but one of those is to open up through the front body. So our practice is 45 minutes long, and today we are focused on, since it's the beginning of the year, and Happy New Year, by the way, we are going to focus on some basics. So we'll focus in on the breath, and we'll focus in on a neutral pelvic alignment. And so we'll talk a lot more about that as we're moving through class. Let's take just a little time here to really tune in. So you have made it on your mat, and I know how challenging it is to step away from your desk to be here on your mat, but now you have done that. So now this is your time. Feel the support of the bolster under your spine. Soften through the muscles of the face, maybe bringing a gentle smile to your lips, and just noticing how that alone can help to soften through the muscles of the face. We'll turn our attention to our breath. And maybe you visualize the breath traveling down your spine on your inhale and up and out on your exhale. We'll stay here a few more rounds of breath. Now bring some gentle movement to fingers and toes. And we are slowly going to push ourselves up into a seated position. So take your time to get there, no rush. When you land in that seated position, we're actually not going to be here terribly long, but we'll be here long enough that if your hips are tight and you want a little elevation for your hips, you could use your block or your bolster to sit up. All right, so we are going to focus in a little more on the breath here, and then we'll actually do some on our back. We're going to return to our backs shortly. If you'll place one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, you're welcome to keep your eyes closed or open, keep them open with a soft gaze. But I want you to really feel, we visualize the breath traveling down and up the spine. Now let's feel the breath moving down into the hand that's to your belly. So we want the breath traveling down. In fact, try to keep the hand that's to your heart quiet. We are focused here on an efficient diaphragmatic breath. We'll change our hand position so that our hands are around the lower part of our rib cage. Your fingers are to the front side, your thumbs are to the back side. Now you felt the breath moving into your belly. Now try and feel that breath moving in all directions. So again, eyes open, eyes closed. See if you can feel that, try and feel that breath moving into the side ribs, into the back side of the body. All right, so just maintain that sensation, that sense of how that breath moves. And let's actually do just some half circles with the head. So we're rolling the head from shoulder to shoulder. Feel free to stop anywhere along the way where you feel like you might need a little extra attention. This is a gentle class. So anytime you want to pick things up or you feel like you need a little more, feel free to, especially as we start to move. All right, if you will join me, I'm going to turn my back to you just for a second. If you'll join me so that your right ear is dropped toward your right shoulder, and then tilt your chin toward your shoulder. Bring your left arm behind your back, so you kind of anchor that shoulder down, and then if you will reach that right hand up, and you're kind of grabbing to more of the back side of that left side of the head and drawing the chin a little closer toward that shoulder. We are trying to focus in on this levator scapula muscle that becomes really tight if we are seated and our heads forward a lot, looking at a computer. So again, your chin is tilted toward that shoulder. Yes, beautiful. Good. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So bring the head back up to center, and now dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. Angle your chin toward the shoulder. Assist with the stretch with your left hand, and then the right arm is just behind the back so that the shoulder stays anchored down. Perfect. We'll bring the head back up to center. All right, we're going to make our way back onto our backs. And once we land on our backs, I'm going to have you do a long stretch to start things off. So reach fingertips and toes in opposite directions. Good. And then bring your arms alongside you. Really briefly here, actually, I'm going to have you bring your hands to the sides of your body so that the fingers, maybe the pointer finger, maybe the middle finger, are connected with your hip bone, and your thumb is finding that lowest part of your rib cage. I want you to here just do a measurement. So we're measuring the distance between our lowest part of the rib cage and our hip point. So get a sense of that. That'll become important in a little bit. All right, now arms alongside you, palms down, walk your feet so that they are close into your bottom. They are about hip bone width apart. And we're gonna do just a little bit here for finding this neutral pelvis. So first push your lower back to your mat. Feel abdominal engagement. And then release your lower back up off the mat and even add a little bit more space underneath the lower part of the back. Again, you're pushing your lower back to the mat, eliminating that space between your back and the mat, and then releasing your back up off the mat and even adding more space. So we're doing a little bit of an anterior tilt of our pelvis here, and then we're pushing lower back to the mat, a posterior tilt. Now, we're going to keep doing this, but I'd like you to make these movements a little bit smaller. Do it on your own, so there's not quite as much of a range of movement until you finally reach what is a neutral pelvis. And it really should feel good, like it feels normal. You have that space under the lower part of the back, and that's that measurement that we just took. This will become, again, important very shortly. Let's once again push that lower back to the mat. And this time we're going to peel one vertebra up off the mat. You're bridging up to the shoulders. Once you've bridged all the way up, you are welcome to stay right here, or you could walk your feet a little wider. You could come to the balls of the feet. You could come to the heels. You may even want to take your fingers, your thumbs, or your fingers, and kind of do some tactile awareness. You're pushing through those backside of the muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, just to kind of see what is activating back there. This is a back body strengthener, a front body opener. In fact, if you want more opening, you could begin to walk your shoulders underneath you, maybe clasping your hands underneath you or reaching to the ankles. You pause here one more breath, really feel the strength, backside, opening, front side. All right. Now I know you will quickly want to move out of this. Let's try and slowly articulate through the spine so you're bridging down one vertebra at a time. Once you have bridged all the way down, hug your knees into your chest. All right, so strengthening through the back side of the body. The core is, of course, the front side and the back side of the body, this powerhouse. We're going to now focus in a little more on the front side of the body. If you'll bring your knees to tabletop, so you've got your knees stacked over your hips, your shins parallel with the floor, arms alongside you. A couple of things here. If you feel like you can maintain that neutral pelvis, feel free to stay here. Otherwise, join me pushing your lower back to the mat. And now we are going to alternate tapping toes to the mat. We'll try to keep this 90-degree shape as we tap the toes. There is no rush. In fact, it's quality over quantity. And so this is one of those things. This is a gentle version of this, although hopefully you're feeling some engagement through that front side. If you want more, maybe you bring both feet down at the same time to tap. Maybe you lift your head and shoulders up off the mat and tap. So many ways to make this a little more challenging. You decide here. Again, quality over quantity. Beautiful, good. Try to maintain the stability through your core. Let's hug both knees back into the chest. All right, we will rock and roll up to seated. And this time we're going to move all the way over to all fours. So come to hands and knees, stacking your hands under your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. All right, so we'll do a couple rounds of just regular cat and cow, and then we're gonna do a little rotation here. So let's inhale, find a cow pose, tailbone up, chin up, deep breath in. As you exhale, round through the spine, tuck the chin in, tailbone under, cat. Inhale again, finding cow. And exhaling to find cat. Inhale, cow pose. And this time, as you exhale and find cat, let's stay here and do just a little bit maybe of a rock from side to side, a shake of your head, yes and no. And then we'll return to a flat back, and you'll put your fingertips, your right fingertips behind your head, your left hand again underneath your left shoulder. You are twisting out to the right, and then we will turn to face that left side of the room, maybe dropping that right elbow in toward that left arm. So you're rotating out and you're rotating toward that left arm. So finding your pace here, again, just getting a little bit of rotation, a little bit of movement through that thoracic part of your spine, that mid back. And then come back to center. Let's just go ahead and switch to that other side, bringing your left fingertips to the back of the head, and you'll find that rotation out and down. So nice, y'all. Again, quality over quantity. It does not matter how many you do. Each time you open up to that left side, can you find just a little bit more range? And then come back to center. Let's press back to an extended child's pose. Your arms are extended out with either palms down. You could rotate palms to face up. Your knees can be directly underneath you. You could widen your knees out toward the long edges of your mat, keeping your big toes together. Maybe you do a little rock through the hips, maybe a little roll from side to side on the forehead, just to release anything that might be held there. We'll hold here one more full breath. All right, we'll make our way back to a tabletop position, this time curling the toes under. Walk hands and feet together. We'll find a standing forward bend. And we're hanging out here for a few breaths. So if you'd like to use your block for a little extra support, if your hamstrings are tight, feel free to do that. Another option is to bend the knees a little extra or widen your stance. Again, this is really if you're feeling pretty tight through the hamstrings. You want that slow release. This is another opportunity to shake out through the head, the neck, let the shoulders feel heavy. All right, we are slowly going to roll up one vertebra at a time. If you need support, place your hands to your thighs. Come to stand. Once you are all the way up, move to the front end of the mat, and we'll move through a couple of half salutes, and then we'll do a couple standing poses from there. So feet are about hip bone width apart. We'll inhale, sweep the arms all the way up, stretch up tall. Exhale, back bend to open up through the front body. Inhale, lengthen up. We'll swan dive forward. Arms go out wide. We'll hinge and we'll fold. Inhale, half lift up. Let's pause right here for a second in this half lift. So you're sticking your bottom toward the wall behind you. You're hinging from the hip. Core is strong. Maybe you send your arms back like airplane wings. We are very internally rotated during the day. This is an opportunity to externally rotate through the shoulder. So open up here. Just an option. We dive ourselves forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive, sweep all the way up, stretch up tall. Exhale, back bend to open up. Again, inhale, lengthen up, dive fully forward as you exhale. Inhale, half lift up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, sweep all the way up, stretch up tall. Exhale, back bend. We'll add on a little bit here. Inhale, lengthen up. We'll find a crescent moon pose. So we are angling our body, laterally moving to the right. You could grab that left wrist with your right hand if you'd like. In fact, let's hang out here for a second. If you do have that left wrist grabbed, you could actually drop your left shoulder in or really rotate back. You may notice something that your body really needs here. So there's not one right way to do it. In fact, every body is different. So find what feels just right for you. All right, we slowly come back up to center and we'll do the same thing other side. Again, either arms paralleled or you could grab that right wrist with your left hand and do a little movement here, a little exploration. Try to keep your weight evenly distributed through your feet. I'd bring your arms back up to center. We'll twist to the right. Right arm back, left arm forward. Try to keep your hips facing the wall in front of you. Inhale to come back up to center and exhale, twist to your left. Beautiful. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, back bend to open up. Inhale, lengthen up, swan dive forward as you exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale to fold. All right, your right foot is going to stay in place. Your left foot steps back for a lunge. So if you are tight through the legs, you may want to grab those blocks to support you. Otherwise, hands are framing that right foot. Your feet are hip bone width apart. You're lunging through this right knee, and we're keeping that right knee and ankle aligned. You're welcome to stay up with that left knee off the mat. You could drop the knee to the mat if you'd like. But here's where we're trying to focus in. Trying to focus in on that left hip flexor. So see what you can find through the front of your left hip. Good. Now, we'll begin to straighten out through this front leg. If you were on that back knee, you could actually just shift your weight back. So we're focused now on the hamstring, right hamstring, back of the leg. So you're straightening out through that right leg, or shifting the hips back, I should say. And then from here, we're dropping our left foot to the floor on its side, and we're returning to a bent knee, rising up to a warrior one. All right. Now, I had you send your arms up into the air, but I would like you to do that measurement again, that same measurement that you practiced, where you had your thumbs to the lowest part of the rib cage, your fingers to your hip points. We have a tendency to do a little bit of, first of all, an interior tilt of the pelvis, which is this. So notice with yourself, if you have that same distance, and if you are sticking your bottom out, try to find engagement through the abdominals, the rib cage tucked in. Especially as we send our arms up into the air, there is a tendency to do a little bit of flare through the ribs. So for today's purposes, I want you to try and find this knitting in of the ribs. Arms are stretched up tall. And then we'll place our hands back down around that right foot and then just step that left foot in to join the right. You're back in your standing forward bend. We'll do the same series other side. So you're stepping your right foot back and finding your lunge. Your feet are hip bone width apart. Once again here, our focus is on this right hip flexor, which becomes really tight if we are in a seated position for periods during the day. So this is an opportunity to stretch and open that. Let your breath flow down, up and out. Good. All right. So hamstring is our focus next. So we'll shift our hips back to straighten out through this front leg. Again, if you're on that back knee, you'll just shift back this way. Let's return to the bent knee. Drop your back foot on its side and rise up. Let's send those arms up right away. So now you've got a sense of this lower part of your body and your core. So feel that engagement here. And now let's focus in on a little shoulder mobility. So we're going to bring our arms around. I'm actually going to have you turn your pinkies toward the wall behind you and bring your arms down and around. And then the thumbs will lead as we come up, rotate so that the pinkies face as you roll around behind. So do a couple more going in this direction, just finding that full range of motion. Now the next time the arms are up, let's switch directions. We'll do just a couple going in the other direction. And here, I want you just to feel, do whatever feels good. All right, let's let those hands land around the left foot, your right knee. So you'll pivot onto your back toes and we'll drop the right knee to the mat. The left knee will go back to join it. You're in a modified plank pose. This can become a plank if you'd like. And from here, we'll lower all the way down to the mat. On your inhale, let's find a little mini cobra pose. Let's ground our legs to the floor and see if you can float your hands off the mat. And then lower down. Again, inhale, peel the front of the body up, float your hands, let your hands return, and lower down. Good. Now this time we'll find our cobra pose and you're welcome to stay. So inhale, peel up. You're welcome to keep your hands to the mat. You could find up dog. You could find a sphinx pose, sliding those forearms forward, elbows underneath the shoulders. You decide which back bend you want to practice. Really feel the opening through the front body. Lower yourself all the way down. Slide your hands in position to push back up to your plank or modified plank. And from here, you can choose down dog or a child's pose. If you choose down dog, feel free to pedal out the feet. You could also drop the shoelace side of one foot to the mat, stretching out through the front of the foot and the shin. Perfect. Let's gently drop the knees to the mat if they're not there already. We are going to sit back onto our heels. So a couple of things. If it doesn't feel good on your knees, feel free to find a seated position. You also have these props available to you. A block works. A bolster also works just to add a little support. So feel free to do that. And then hopefully your strap's not too far away from you. If you will grab that. And let's do just a little bit more for our shoulders. So if you'll grab a pretty good distance of that strap between your hands, and then let your hands or the strap travel toward your hips. On your inhale, sweep the arms up, exhaling back to where you feel a stretch through the front of the shoulders. Give yourself as much space as you need. In fact, if it's too intense, give yourself more space between the hands. All right, so notice here what happened if you're really flaring out through the rib cage. Try to tuck that in. Sometimes when we're working through the shoulders, if we do have less range of motion, it kind of travels down to help us find that range. All right, we'll move back to where we started and we'll do it again. So if you want less, widen your hands. If you want a little bit more of a stretch, bring your hands closer together. All right, this time as we travel back, you're welcome just to stay. You could also bend one elbow. You might notice a little bit more of a stretch in a way that feels right. If you decide to do that, make sure you even things out. You're welcome to go all the way back behind you. It requires a little more, so again, give yourself some grace here. So we'll explore a little bit. Good, and then let's bring that strap back to where we started. You can release that. All right, the last thing we'll do, we have two more things that we'll do, and then I'm gonna have you, we're gonna go to the wall to wrap things up. We'll do a little bit of balance here. So we practiced something earlier that you can actually incorporate into this, but right now we'll just start with a bird dog. So you're sending the left leg straight back behind you, the right arm straight out in front to practice some balance. You're looking straight down to your mat. Your spine is aligned. If you want a little more here, you could try and lift that right foot up off the mat. If you'd like a little more from what we did previously, you could bring the fingertips behind the head and do this rotation. You could even draw that left knee in as you bring the right elbow down. Completely optional. This is gentle yoga, so make it yours. Gentle with options. All right, let's return to tabletop and do anything here that feels good to reset. So maybe it's a little cat and cow or just some movement in a way that feels, again, right to reset. We prepare for bird dog on the other side. When you're ready, left arm long, right leg back, looking straight down to your mat. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to find that rotation that we practiced earlier. And then we'll meet in a tabletop position. And from here, let's rotate our fingers to face our knees, palms are down, and just do a little bit of movement back and forth to stretch out through the wrists. And then angle your fingers toward the long sides of your mat, and maybe just do a little bit of rotation here. Switch directions. All right, y'all, we are going to finish up at the wall today. So all you need is your mat, unless you want to bring your bolster for final relaxation. The short end of your mat is going to line up with the wall. So you can just slide your mat to wherever you would like, lots of room. And once you have that mat in place, the best way to get your legs up the wall is to shimmy in sideways. And then let your legs go up from there. So you want your bottom pretty close to the wall. In fact, right up next to it, if it feels okay on your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are tight, you may want yourself a little bit away from the wall. So your legs are straight up for right now. And actually we'll start off here, and hopefully everyone has enough room there for a wide V. So let your legs go wide into a V shape. So we have gravity assisting us with this stretch for the inner thighs. If it is too much, maybe you support yourself with your hands to the outer thighs. Or another way to practice this is to bring the legs up, the soles of the feet together, the sides of the feet to the wall, and then you'll let your knees, the sides of the feet travel down, the knees go out. Return to those belly breaths. And let's take 2 more of those breaths that you can feel and visualize moving deep into the belly. Slowly bring your legs back up to center. So the legs are right up over your hips, and the left leg will keep where it is. The right ankle is going to come to maybe the top right above that left knee, or maybe right above it. If it is above the knee, so think of an upside down figure 4. If it is above the knee and you want more, you could begin to slide the sole of the left foot down the wall. So this is opening through the outer thigh. If it is too much, feel free to modify again by just bringing that right leg up a little bit further on the left. So when we begin to open up through the outer thigh, it's pretty easy to, because there's a lot that's held there in our hips. So notice as you begin to release, if any tightness or tension finds its way into your shoulders and into the muscles of the face. Let's slowly switch to the other side. And now let's slowly release. All right, get a sense of both hips. Do they feel a little more even? Do you need a little bit more on one side? You need a little more of that same stretch on one particular side. Take time for that right here. And then let's all meet with legs back up the wall. We are going to do a twist here. So if you'll slide the soles of both feet down the wall so that your knees are coming in a little closer to you. When we walk our feet over to one side, if it feels like it's too much, feel free to scoot yourself away from the wall a little bit, or just not go quite as far in the twist. We let our arms go wide in the shape of a T, and we'll begin to walk our feet to the right. So you've got this leverage in this twist. If it does not feel good, again, feel free to push away from the wall or just change up how far over you move your legs. Slowly walk your feet back to center and over to the left. We'll walk the feet to center. Send your legs back up the wall. You're welcome to stay right here for final relaxation, or you could find a different pose that might feel better, like a corpse pose where you're flat to your mat, a seated pose, whatever you would like here. You chose to be on your mat today. So now let this final bit of time that is so precious, let it be completely yours. Let your next 2 breaths be the biggest of class. Bring some gentle movement back to your body. And to slowly make our way back to a seated position, let's actually pause in a fetal position. So roll to your favorite side and just rest for a couple of breaths. You might need to push yourself away from the wall a little bit to feel comfortable. All right, let's meet in that seated position. Let's take one more big deep breath in together. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up, stretch up tall. Exhale, your hands to your heart. This is a quote from Michael Althauser. Bad news is time flies. Good news is you're the pilot. Thanks so much for joining me. Namaste, friends.